Hello and welcome back to the AL Central Rundown. I'm Eric, fresh off the paternity list, and with me today is,
I'm Lee.
And I'm Dan.
and it's been some baseball. I'll be honest, haven't watched a lot of baseball in the last week. I watched some Twins, and then they went to the Yankees, went to Yankee Stadium, which has always been a house of horrors for Minnesota during my lifetime. So didn't go to those, and then obviously it was pretty convenient that my firstborn wanted to debut before that series, so I didn't have to go get tempted to go watch those games in person and be very disappointed. But do we just talk about? Do we just talk about the Twins? Do we just lead off with that?
I think that's best to start off with.
Okay.
Get it off your
So
chest.
old naive me again. The Twins are in the house of horrors, the New York Yankees in New York, and for the last 2 weeks, I actually had the thought that this might be the most enjoyable this might be the most fun I've had watching this team in like 2 years, which is real sad. And maybe I was just being like the low bar. They were exceeding it. They had beaten the Tigers and the Royals in back-to-back series. Things were going pretty well. And then we get a press release from Joe Pohlad. And I'm going to read this. And you, as a hopeful fan who thinks that the team is going to be sold, I want you to pay attention to this wording because it really throws you through a curveball. So, here is the press release from the Pohlad family. For more than 4 decades, our family has had the privilege of owning the Minnesota Twins. This franchise has become a part of our family story, and it has for our employees, our players, this community, and Twins fans everywhere. Over the past several months, we have explored a wide range of potential investment and ownership opportunities. Our focus throughout this process has been what's best for the long-term future of the Twins. We have been fully open to all possibilities. After a detailed and robust process, our family will remain the principal owner of the Minnesota Twins. Blah, 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 blah.
It doesn't feel like that's in the best interest of the Twins.
It's in the best interest of the Pohlads. Is that not the Twins? Are those not the same things? So that sucks. If you're a Twins fan, I think my immediate reaction was how many kicks in the balls does one fan base need in a 2 year span? And maybe
Hell,
you're
a
thinking,
2 week span because the trade deadline was brutal, and then you
well,
got
get
this
into it.
right
'Cause I have
after.
gathered some headlines since October 2023. And if you're a casual fan, I don't understand why you would be a casual fan of this team anymore, but let me just pull these out. There's a few of them. Okay, the good one, October 2023. Twins break 2 decade long playoff losing streak. Great. Good news. About a month later, Twins cut $30 million in payroll. The next headline, Twins trade fan favorite Luis Ariz to Miami. Now, that trade ended up good, but I cannot understate how beloved Luis Ariz was in Minnesota. He was one of the favorite players of the franchise. And, like, I don't even know how close, like, a Buxton was, but he was loved in the short time he was here. The next headline, Twins cement historic collapse, miss playoffs and final week of season. Next headline, Pohlads put team up for sale. Next headline, Justin Ishbia pulls out of Twins bid to join the White Sox. Of all teams. The next one, fire sale surprises baseball. The next one, Griffin Jacks asked out of Minnesota. And now, Pohlads pull team off the market, will remain in control. What a fun 2 years it's been, guys. This has been a whole lot of fun watching this baseball team since their best moment of playoff, and I'm saying this in quotes and sarcasm, glory with one wild card series win. It's all we've shown in 20 years. And now with ownership who it's hard to look at the fire sale at the trade deadline as anything other than that, a fire sale, a shedding of payroll. With that payroll, like with the trade deadline, their salary, which again in 2023 was $155 million, entering this year It was 142. After all these trades, it's going to end up looking at about 120, 100, whatever. Next year, it drops to 90. They can easily trade Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, and Trevor Larnach to get that payroll down to 65 million. Them are some dark. That is a dark timeline to have.
That is a disgustingly low number for a Major League Baseball payroll.
I'm pretty sure that would be lower than the A's, and that's after the MLB told them they had to pay Luis Severino a lot of money to not have just literally minimum salary position players and Brent Rooker. So now the Twins have a bunch of minimum salary guys, Pablo Lopez and Byron Buxton. So this isn't great. I also have a couple of quotes. So Joe Pohlad, who I'm sure is a perfectly lovely guy, seems like the players do. He seems like, as far as billionaires go, seems like a good, decent guy, nice to get along with, all of that. But as an owner, he's lacking. Part of that lacking, he just seems very tone deaf with the fan base. Like he's living in a different world, which makes sense because his family is, even in baseball terms, the Pohlad family is considered one of the richer families in baseball. But he just gives these random quotes, and I'm going to pull. He gave an interview with Phil Miller and then Dan Hayes, Phil Miller of the Minnesota Star Tribune, and then Dan Hayes of the Athletic. I'm just going to show you so you can give an example. And I also want to keep in mind, when they signed Carlos Correa, Joe Pohlad said, I don't even think a $200 million payroll is out of the question. Boy, that seems laughable 3 years later. Okay. So this quote is to Phil Miller from the Minnesota Star Tribune. So, the family's decision not to sell comes on a rocky stretch for the team. Joe Pohlad understands fans might be skeptical as the turns of events. This is now a quote from Joe Pohlad. Quote, and I would say for those fans, it is my job and this new ownership group's new job to do everything we can to set this organization up for success, hopefully in the short term and long, and I look forward to it.
What does he mean by this new ownership groups? I don't understand.
Oh, I didn't explain that, did I? So the reason that they pulled the Twins off of the market, it's because they are going to bring in two limited, what was the phrasing? Significant limited partners. There's going to be a group in Minnesota that they're bringing in, and a group of and a family from the East Coast, who will be significant limited partners.
That's just a fancy way of saying minority. I can't say it. Minority owners, right?
Yes.
That's what that means.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And not even like the buying in at 1 or 2%. Which it's a good time for you to ask that question, because the next thing I had is some of the hiccup on the Twin selling is it was reported that the Twins have somehow $425 million in debt. You can speculate however that debt got there, but I'm going to guess it probably wasn't just baseball operations. But I'll leave it there. They have $425 million in debt. I'm going to read one more quote, then we'll talk about the limited partners. But this is one of the more outrageous quotes you will hear from an owner who doesn't know what the F he's talking about. So they're talking about the $400 million in deal and that debt. And Joe Pohlad, quote, said, as far as I'm aware, that debt was not a hindrance in this process, meaning the sale process. But with this transaction, we're going to be paying down that debt. Make that make sense.
Well, see, the key part is, as far as I'm aware, and I think he just doesn't know enough about the business.
I don't. It's hard for me to say. Obviously, this family. How did the Pohlads make their money in the first place?
Financial, commercial real estate, but also it's the 7 grandchildren of the guy that originally bought it that are running the team now. There is like a family member that does like movies and things like that. So they're fairly diverse, but commercial real estate is the real answer.
inherited, it sounds like, for the most part.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to check anybody's pockets or their ability to do their job, but it sure seems like for a businessman, this family isn't very good at business.
No.
If you're gonna, and I said this when you brought up the debt before, you you got $400 million in debt for your baseball team. Like,
I don't get how you get
these
that
things print
much.
money.
Well,
That's
And to
that's a
be
lot of
open about
money.
it in the first place, like you're telling on yourself, like you are not good at your job as an owner if that's where you're at. So, you know, the way this reads to me is we had to bring in an influx of cash. We had to sell a portion
mm-hmm.
of our ownership stake in order to save our butts because we were $400 million in debt. That's
Then why not just sell the whole
bad
thing?
business
Oh, they
Because
could have
because
he did it.
nobody wanted it because it's $400 million in debt.
Yeah.
they reportedly had so they had Justin Ishbia, who was willing to buy the $1.7 billion valuation, and then he backed out. So then they thought that, and he it sounds like he came up pretty quickly, and then he also left pretty quickly. They then just refused to. It sounds like they just refused to move off of that price point. They had an offer for 1.5 billion, and it even like especially with this whole thing on Wednesday this dropped. There's reporting right now in Minnesota that this was incredibly rushed. Like I think it was Dan Hayes reported that there was an investment team that was interested in buying the full franchise that was meeting to gather money that day and saw the press release and were blindsided by it.
Like, wasn't there a report right after the trade deadline that, oh, Pohlad, they're weeks away from finalizing a deal or whatever, and then 2 weeks later we get this?
Yes,
It
I
just,
think because, and also I don't know if you're talking about Manfred, but Manfred said just before the All-Star break that there will be a transaction here.
yeah, because there was that, yeah.
But you're right, there were some rumblings that something was going to change, as in new ownership. And I guess, and the word that they keep using is transaction, that there will be a transaction between like these minority partners. But it just, and like, apparently they're even on like Wednesday morning before they even released this press release. The Twins, like the franchise, had like a company Zoom call, and they broke it to everyone, and everyone just was like, it caught everyone off guard. And like, I'm not saying entry level employees or middle management needs to know these decisions, but it just seems like somebody made an impulse decision and went with it.
I
It
think
wasn't.
really they're probably
It's
going to. Sorry, go ahead.
no. Go ahead.
I think what it sounds like is so they brought in these minority owners or whatever the hell they called it, uh, and they sold off part of the team, and I really think they're waiting until after the next CBA. What if the union? I forget what it's called. The union meeting in
Yeah.
26 that they're going to have. I really think they're waiting for that. See what happens with a salary cap / salary floor. Get rid of some of their debt, and then maybe they'll sell it. They'll actually sell in a few years.
I would hope so. And there has been some of that speculation. Like, I think it was, but I think it's just been that. I don't think there's been any smoke to that. I even think in the Phil Miller article, he even said that there is like the new ownerships will not have a path to future portions of it. But here's the bullshit on that. If you've already accrued $450 million in debt in 5 years and you're selling off parts of the team to your own ineptitude, these new owners are coming in like, well, I'm just going to wait 3 years and wait for you to rack up more debt and buy more of the team and slowly take over. Like,
Possibly.
I have no faith in this Nepo baby controlling this team for much longer. I'm just going like, it's almost like blood in the water. The real sharks are starting to circle around, or at least I can hope so. The reality is, and like what sucks, and I know I just said the payroll could go down to $65 million, and now suddenly it's the Miami Marlins, it's now not even the Oakland A's, it's going to be that level of payroll because the incentive for owners to be good in baseball is really not there. If your incentive is just to make a profit, and this year the Twins were reporting that they were going to lose $40 million, which again, I don't know how. Like Forbes has reported that they're going to make $320 million in revenue. Their payroll was $140 million at the start of the year, and they shaved $25 million of that from the end of this year. Tell me, when your payroll is 40% of your revenue, and I'm not going to be naive enough to say that I know all the money that they're going to spend to make the team run, including like the maintenance, the building, whatever.
I've heard, just to
That
cut
doesn't
in,
add up
and
to $325 million. I
it
very have
doesn't.
a hard time
I've
believing
heard that comes to about, and this is a ballpark number I've heard bandied about on the internet, so take that with a grain of salt. But it's like $170 million is the overhead when you talk about staff,
that.
equipment,
Sure.
all the tech these
Stadium
teams use now.
maintenance.
Like it's like 170 million, which is more than I thought, but it's still not
That
320.
seems lower than what I would have thought,
Well,
honestly.
I'd also be curious about of that 170, and I believe that number.
That
I've never heard that, but
that might even be pulled again. I'm reading this on the internet, but I think that might even be pulled from the Braves books because they're publicly owned.
which I was about to say, in which case that's completely legit. But also that Braves, I believe the Braves owner actually owns the stadium, or is that partially publicly funded?
I
Okay,
I'm not going to even speculate on that part of
that's fair.
it.
Because I know for the Twins, the Pohlads had Minnesota taxpayers pay for I think half of the stadium. And if you're thinking they didn't get a sweet deal on those state taxes that they're still reaping benefits from, you're kidding. But I mean, I just, which makes me think that this is pure speculation, and that I will never know, and they will never tell us because the owners will never open up their books, and they'll just push for a salary cap. But in order to accrue that much money, that much debt, in basically 5 years, if anyone remembers the initial porty, it was 425 million since COVID. The only way I can see that happening is if you are putting debt from your other businesses and reporting it as if it's the twins' debt, which I believe is obviously like shady bookkeeping, but I'll stop from saying anything further. I think the more likely solution is they took loans out under the twins and then used that cash to infuse other businesses so that the debt stayed with the twins, but the money went to other businesses.
I could buy that. I mean, especially if their main thing is real estate. I mean, that so
Yeah.
obviously suffered a lot during COVID.
So again, that's
I'm
pure
gonna zag.
speculation. We'll
I'm
never
gonna
know.
zag on this for a minute. In the last 15 minutes we've been talking about this, what part of this from the Pohlads sounds like savvy business people that would not lose $400 million on their baseball team? This again, I think this is just incompetence. I
Yes.
really do. And I'm naive. I mean, I'm the naive one of the group when it comes to ownership. I'm willing to believe things that sometimes maybe shouldn't be believed. But to me, I think it just makes just as much sense that they got caught with their pants down because of COVID and then the TV contract. And that's
Yep.
how we end up here.
And
Yeah,
even the
I
TV contract. The TV contract, I get that they're probably losing money on the TV deal right now. That's temporary. If you don't think Netflix and whatever Amazon Sports isn't going, like
It'll
the streaming
That'll get
services,
figured out in the long run. I
yes,
agree.
like that's going to turn around and they're going to make just as much, if not more, in the next couple of years than they did with the RSNs.
But
But
that's not the society we live in, though.
right,
It's what's next quarter's profit going to be.
yes.
So
And like what kind of sucks is these owners that are coming in. So what you've essentially now there, I think Dan Hayes said that the owners are coming in at buying 20%. What I don't know is that 20% each or is that 20% total.
right.
It kind of the only reason like in my head I was trying to think out what is like the best of this crappy news. What is the best option? Like what is the best case scenario in now this crappy situation? And I get thought of the new ownership will buy 49% of the team. So they pull as still own 51%. And the part of the family, so again, it's the grandkids of the guy that bought it. Some of them want nothing to do with the team, which is fine. Your grandfather bought it. You are not required to love the thing your grandfather loved. I get it. If you want out, great. If they can somehow, instead of just buying the shares from all of the Pohlads and just specifically buy the shares of the family members that want out, I could see like Joe Pohlad, who again 3 years ago lied to us and said that a $200 million payroll was a thing. I believe at the time he would have passed a lie detector test. I think he believed it. I also think he really, really wants to be liked. He just doesn't know how to be good at his job or like to give quotes that don't make him sound like a complete ass.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit, Dan, I agree. I tend to ascribe to the idea, I forget what it's called, but the idea of never contribute to malice what you can to
Idiocy.
idiocity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggle with that word for there. I'm more willing to believe someone's just an idiot than they're being actively malicious and
Yes.
scheming. I think
So,
they're just bad business people. They don't know what they're doing.
yep. It's
That's
hard
what
to
it's
argue that.
conveying.
They don't know how to run a
Sorry, Eric.
baseball team.
That shouldn't. I don't know if that makes you feel better. It probably doesn't.
Nope.
Uh, Maybe even worse. I don't know.
it's it's reality. We've been living in Minnesota for 40 years, but now the whole
Yeah.
nation knows about it. It's almost like, like when you're at a family reunion and like you're in the middle of like in the park and like it's near like your friend's house and suddenly your drunk uncle like gets really wasted and like streaks across the park and now your best friend saw it and now it's like, oh well, now everyone else is gonna know now. Like this was better when it was
Secrets out.
contained.
Yeah.
I saw something that was talking about all this puts the Pohlads in the same company as John Fisher and the Pirates and the Marlins in terms of bad ownership. Would you agree with that, or do you think it's a bit much?
I will reserve that until I see what the payroll is next year. But if they trade Pablo Lopez, as soon as they trade Pablo Lopez, I'll jump on that boat.
See, at the same time, I was the one carrying the torch. The Twins should be in a rebuild. No offense, the team was in homeostasis. They weren't getting
Sure.
any better. They weren't getting any worse.
It was
They
a. I
needed to
think
want to. They
we
needed to tear
agreed.
it down, or they
It
needed
was
to do
a.
a bunch of moves to get a lot better. But they needed to tear it
Yeah.
down. That was the easier choice.
I think a lot of us agreed it was a smart decision to tear it all down at the trade deadline. Like that was a good move.
They should have got
This,
more though.
yeah,
Yes, I was about to say if you're going to do it, you better. And we talked about this on the trade deadline stream too. They better be right with these players because that's the only way.
Mhm.
Because like their messaging isn't we're tearing down for the future. They're saying we're ready to compete next year. This
Short
team
or
does not
long
look like
term,
they're
that
going
was
to
in the
compete
quote you
next year.
read.
And
yeah.
you're
I
going
think
to trade. Go ahead, Lee.
in a vacuum, the idea of trade it all away and tear it down is a good idea. The execution is maybe has something to be desired.
Yeah, and also like in theory, I can believe the strategy if you're going to dismantle a part of your roster, the bullpen is the place to do it. But like they went scorched earth, like they truly leaned into that strategy, and they've gotten well. I mean, we'll see. The players have to play. I'm really rooting for Alan Roden to be good because he's the only, except for James Outman, who got called up today.
Nice.
I really would like him to be better. And then you have like the Griffin Jacks asking out. Looks like that may have hurt his market. However, you didn't have to trade Griffin Jacks. Like you could have held on to him and traded him at your will, but whatever. You did right by the player, and I don't think that's the worst thing to do. I if the Twins are going to go into this rebuild, and I think it's more likely they are. Just one, stop lying to us about it. Stop this bullshit saying we're ready to compete next year and we're gonna do this. If this team is going to compete next year, it's not gonna be with a $90 million payroll. It's not even gonna be with a $130 million payroll like it was this year. Prove it. Invest $80 million in this payroll next year. Now they won't do that because one, it'd be really hard to make smart decisions just to spend. But like you can't you can't expect this fan base to believe you at this point. And these new ownerships that are coming in, it seems like they're coming in to pay down the debt. And after the debt's paid, that still doesn't mean your shitty management isn't going to get better. So where's the hope?
It's hard. There's no benefit of the doubt that the Twins organization has earned at this point for the
No.
fans.
And like not for nothing, like if you would have asked me at the start of the season, I would have said the Twins were like just in very like there's no way to measure this, but like as far as well-run organizations, I would have said they're probably like 12th or 13th. Like I think they're middle of the road, maybe a little bit higher. Ownership could make it better, but like I still believed in the front office, I still believed in the player, and it's just like, man, this is like a top bottom 5 franchise right now. And it's very hard to rank them higher than that, I think. Which is such a fall. But what do you do? Yeah. I think I've gone on enough about that. Any closing thoughts? Anyone else want to shed another tear in my beer?
Can I talk about the Guardians ownership situation real quick?
Yeah.
It just, and this isn't new news, but I had a bit of an epiphany recently, and it's relevant because talking about minority ownership. Uh, in 2022, the Dolan family that owns the Guardians brought in a minority owner in a very similar vein, it seems like. David Blitzer is the individual who's like the head of this company essentially that trades in sports teams. They own and operate and help operate sports teams. Interestingly, though, unlike the Twins, their situation, Blitzer and company have the ability to have the option for majority ownership in 2028.
Mm,
That has our fan base uh, not
happy.
enthusiastic, optimistic,
Looking forward to it.
optimistic, looking forward to it because, oh, we know what the Dolans are. They don't spend any money at any point in time. And that's valid. That's true. So right now they have a 25% ownership, this Blitzer group. And like I said, this is a company that owns or helps operate or is invested in sports teams. So this isn't like this would be their one set focus. It wouldn't be, okay, we're going to
Right.
buy the Guardians in 2028, and our main focus is going to be making this a World Series winner. So I think a lot of people are setting themselves up for disappointment with where this could be headed in and of itself. Also, interestingly, David Blitzer, in the last year, I don't remember the exact date, but they sold off a couple of their teams, this group.
Mm-hmm.
And he was quoted as one of the reasons why was he made a statement about how teams should be locally owned.
Mm,
David Blitzer's from Philadelphia, New Jersey area, that
sure.
kind of East Coast. So there's no guarantee in and of itself. By the way, they own all these teams. There's no guarantee that they're going to spend more money. They
Right.
might, but you don't know it. There's no guarantee he even wants to take the team, considering the fact that he just talked about 6 months ago. Well, teams should be locally owned, and he's not local.
Yep.
And there's no guarantee that all the talented people that the organization's hired over the last 30 years, there's no guarantee you'd want to keep them around.
Right.
To me, this is a be careful what you wish for scenario. Like, one, is he even going to buy the team in the first place? Two, if he does, it's not a guarantee it's going to go the way you want, guys.
Right.
Like, something and I know I'm going long here, but something I really like about this organization is in the late 80s, the Jacobs family bought the team. Hank Peters was hired as the team president at the time. Hank Peters worked with Earl Weaver in the 70s with the Baltimore Orioles. That's where he made his name. Peters came here. He was here for like 4 years, and he helped install the infrastructure that made the 90s team so great. He wasn't here for those, but he hired John Hart, who ended up being the general manager for those
Mm-hmm.
teams. John Hart hired Mark Shapiro. Shapiro ran the team through the 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
got a really nice
And
offer to go
Moneyball.
run the Toronto Blue Jays, and he was in Moneyball. Got a really nice offer to run the Toronto Blue Jays. That's where he is now. Before he left, he had hired Chris Antonetti. Chris Antonetti is running the team now. You can draw a line from Hank Peters to Chris Antonetti. And I think without a World Series win, they've done everything else
Right.
possible to be successful over the last 40 years. I get nervous, and I know the Dolans don't spend, but I get nervous about new ownership wanting to bring in their own folks when things have ran so well for so long. And I really like that lineage. Um, so maybe this is my bias showing, but to me, like, don't get your hopes up that just because a new owner comes in, they're going to start throwing $100 bills around and
Right.
uh, doing things the way it's not going to necessarily be better.
Right.
So I
And
don't know how that relates to the Twins, but it's a tangent I wanted to go on because minority ownership
I
and
think like
like
the parallel with that, so like, and I'll be like, am I a fan? I'm neutral on the Dolans because I'm not truly invested in the Guardians.
they are not liked here. I'm
Um,
in the minority big time on that.
but like I will say, like if I really wanted, if I was like 4 beers deep and we're sitting at a bar, I would start going and I wanted to go on my anti-ownership brand. Uh, I the Tampa Bay Rays and the Guardians are viewed like model franchises, and that they draft and develop better than anyone else in the league. You want to throw the Brewers in there, that's great, but they are the outliers that all the other teams except for the big spenders model after to be like they can do it, see we can do it. The difference is only they can do it, and only they have proven to be able to do it. You're
And I
just
think
saying you want to be them because they're cheap.
And what's
so.
also
What you're telling me, sorry to talk over you, Lee, but what you're telling me is the Guardians and the Rays and whoever else you want to throw in there, they ruin it for the fans of everybody else
Yes.
because those ownerships can go, look, we're going to be like them.
Yes. And
And
everyone rolls their
but
eyes.
yeah, and then they collect their $20 million at the end of the year.
Yeah.
The
And
owners do,
and
and
to
yeah,
me, I think rebuilds are a scam, so I'm not looking forward to a rebuild. But especially, like, I'm not going to go as far in saying that the Rays and the Guardians are scams. But like,
yeah.
what? How? Yes, they're great now. They're good now. What would they do with another $50 million in payroll
So, so
consistently
in my
every year?
defense, but in my defense, you're also making my point for me in that don't get rid of these people that have been running this team for
Yes.
this last 40 years and making chicken salad out of chicken, you know what?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather have that. I'd rather have that than an extra $50 million. I really would. And maybe I'm naive again, but I'd rather have the really smart. This is me, this is hubris, but I feel like we've got the smartest guys in the room running the team. And I don't want to get rid of that. I don't.
And I don't know if they're the smartest guys in the room, but that they can at least hire the smartest
And
guys
that's
in
what
the
I
room.
mean. I'm
And
talking
that's all
about
I
the
like. I
front
don't know
office.
about
I'm
their
not talking about the
analysis, but
Dolans.
and I
Yeah.
think
The
that's
Dolans
perfectly
are
fine.
not, they're not stupid people. I'm not saying they are, but I was referring to Antonetti, Mike Chernoff, the GM, etc.,
Yeah.
and all those that came before them that
I
I was
also
talking
kind of
about.
wondered, too, like, so the question when if new ownership was going to bring in by the Twins, the front office was likely going to be gone. Rocco was likely going to be gone because yes, new owners tend to want their guys to run it, but you want to like it's one thing just to have your guys running, but if things are already going well, why would you change it? Then just do the influx of cash type thing would be
Yeah.
my attitude towards it. But billionaires are a different group of people who think very differently from everyone else. But anyway,
like
Lee, I'm sorry. I feel like we've
yeah.
interrupted you like 3 times in our rant, and that's very rude of us. So like, just throw something at us from Detroit, and we'll shut up. So
Yeah, I guess I don't really have much to contribute from ownership stuff because Detroit's ownership is probably the most stable. The only question mark is because Chris Ilitch is getting a divorce, but like I don't think that's really going to actually change anything. That's like the only thing in terms of
What if she
yeah
gets the team?
well, isn't it?
yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Didn't that happen with the Mets? Didn't that spark
It
Cohen coming in? Was it the Mets or the Dodgers that
was the
somebody got
Padres, I think.
divorced
I think you're
and the
thinking of the
team had to be
Padres.
put up to sale?
It might have been the Padres.
It might. No,
But
I thought he
that
died.
like
Maybe
that
that is it.
news
Maybe it was a
broke.
divorce. I'm not
The
sure.
news the news broke about him getting divorced was like 7 months ago. We haven't heard anything, so I seriously doubt that's going to actually impact the team. The only thing we might is be like spend amount of money. But like because Detroit's ownership is very stable, but it's also very complicated in terms of fan perception of Illich. Because see, Mike Illich was very much beloved in Detroit. Like
Mhm.
because he is a Detroit native. I don't, but he fought in Vietnam. He came back to Detroit, founded Little Caesars. He played in the Tigers organization for a little
I didn't
bit.
know that. That's great.
Yeah, he played in the Tigers organization in the minor leagues for a few years. And then he bought the team himself, and then he bought the Red Wings. He spent money on both of those franchises, which is a big thing. And he was very much involved in the Tigers, how they did things. Like, I read an article, it was really interesting, like about how the trade for Miguel Cabrera, right? And the reason Dave Dombrowski sought Miguel Cabrera in the first place was like not, but it was initiated by Mike Ilitch. Called him, was like, "Hey, I really like this Miguel Cabrera guy. Maybe can we try and trade for him?" Yeah, he was very involved in the team, and he loved the team, and he was willing to spend money, and he liked star players, and so him and Dave Dombrowski
Yeah, and
worked
Dave Dombrowski
fantastic.
was like, star players, of course. Let's get 9
Yeah,
And the Red
pretty
GM
much.
at the
Yeah.
time.
I want an all-star team for the lineup and no one in the bullpen.
Yeah, so he was very involved in the team, and he clearly loved both the Tigers and the Red Wings because Ilitch owns the Red Wings too, and he passed in 2016 or 2017, and so ownership changed to his son, and so Mike Ilitch was a self-made man. He built his franchise, he built the Little Caesars,
Right.
and he bought the teams on his own. Chris Ilitch is more nepo baby. He inherited all of that. Also, a keynote, 2017 is when things started going very downhill for the Tigers. 2016, 2017 is when things started going downhill for the Red Wings, and they entered their rebuild at the same time as the Tigers. The Red Wings have not made the postseason since 2016. The Tigers only recently made the postseason for the first time in 10 years. So it's not a perception of Chris Ilitch is that he's cheap, because I think part of it is because the Tigers and the Red Wings have not won anything since he became owner.
Mhm.
2, he hasn't really spent a lot of money on big free agents like his dad did. And 3, he isn't Mike Ilitch, because
Right.
Mike Ilitch was loved. Chris Ilitch hasn't earned that. So it's
Right.
a little, yeah, it's kind of complicated in terms of perception. I stand more on the idea of, I don't want to take too much time talking on this. We spend a lot of time talking on the Twins. I stand more on the idea of Chris Ilitch is not as involved in the team because he's not as interested, but he's not, I don't think he's a cheapskate. I don't think he's not willing to spend money. I think he's not going to be like, hey, here's $100 million, go buy a free agent. I think, but he's willing to spend if Harris is like, hey, we want to go get this guy. He's like, all right, here's the money. I think he's more like that.
Which, honestly, like, that's not even I don't think you're saying he's a disinterested owner, but he's not Jerry Jones. Nor should anyone be Jerry Jones.
Right. He's not very involved, but I don't think he's not willing to spend.
But I also think outside of this, probably 3 years, I would have said the same thing about the Pohlads. Like, they will hire the guys and they'll just let them do their thing, and they'll have a really long leash. And 15 years later, they'll be fired. I feel the Dolans probably do the same thing. That's not in itself a bad thing. He just has to. All you're going to have is invest in the team when it's going to be competitive, and over invest if you think you're going to go for a World Series. And he just hasn't had that opportunity to do it.
Because the thing is, because a lot of the perception of Chris in terms of the Tigers is also tempered by the Red Wings are. I mean, if you have to remind it, Detroit is hockey town. The Red Wings are huge in Detroit. Right. You may perhaps even more so than the Tigers. So the Red Wings have not won anything in a long time either, and they entered a rebuild at the same time the Tigers did, and so a lot of the opinions of that are based on the Red. So it's
Sure.
But also you have to remember 2017, like Al Avila was the GM of the Tigers, and he was bad, So it's hard to point a finger at who is to blame for the Tigers not doing good.
I won't tell you that Al Avila was the best. He was old school, I think is probably the polite way to say it. Dave whatever, the guy in Philly will burn through a farm system to scorched earth. So poor Al Avila had like 2 minor prospects and an aging Miguel Cabrera to work with.
That's part of the point I wanted to make, is that the narrative I heard about Mr. Ilitch was that he was old. We didn't know how much time he was going to have left on this earth. And we were trying to win a World Series and maybe a Stanley Cup. I'm not sure. I'm not as up on hockey. But things were being stretched financially in order to try to do this. while he was still here. And I think it's just natural then that we need to cut back after he passed away because we can't keep spending like this for forever. So, that's my take from 1,000 feet away.
Yeah,
But
that's not unfair. For the record, the Red Wings had a dynasty from the 90s to
Yeah.
the 2000s,
But-
2010s.
yeah.
They made
I
the
don't-
playoffs for like 20 years straight. They won a bunch of Stanley Cups. So,
I was about
yeah,
to say,
so they were
I don't watch
they were
hockey,
very
I do
good
that.
for a very long time. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really watch hockey at all growing up, but like the Red Wings when I was a kid, the Red Wings
was
were
hard to
always
miss.
good. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were good. Like every year every year they had a shot to make it.
I guess
Pretty much.
my hope in Detroit, like I would have more hope. Like I feel like he wants this because like even when they signed Baez 3 years ago,
20 yeah for the 22 season.
and that was like the first year of like, hey, the Tigers might not be the last in the division anymore. Like they're a team on the rise, and they spent done. I mean, that was a loaded shortstop group, so it was like Correa's first year, Baez, Swanson,
Story. I think was
maybe
in there.
Swanson was, but anyway, it was that time period, and they spent $20 million on Baez. Now, has that worked out well? Not really, but like
Not like
they
those
still
a lot of those other guys didn't work out either.
right, and that's fine. But like the
They
point was
still
made, he's
spent.
going to spend money, and even on top of that, you can't even argue that Baez has held that contract has held them back from signing anyone because they just tried giving Bregman $30 million a year.
Yeah. So that's where I don't stand on the Chris Illich is the cheapskate and he's the reason we haven't won anything. That doesn't track for me. I would say he's invested in this team in other ways behind the scenes. So development wise, completely revamped the minor league system when Scott Harris came in. Tigers are the only team to have their own private jet. They share with the Red Wings, but they're the only MLB team to have their own private jet. The huge new scoreboard that we got last year, that was not money that had to be spent on that, like because the scoreboard was fine before, and now it's huge and it's awesome. A bunch of Comerica Park renovations have been made. Bringing Jason Benetti in, we did not have to pay him.
Yeah.
We did not have to get a guy of that caliber. I mean, there's a bunch of things behind the scenes that Illich has spent money on. It just hasn't been big free agent signing. So I guess I would say Chris Illich does not prove that he's willing to spend on this team, but he also hasn't proven that he's not.
Right.
Like there hasn't been a guy coming up through the farm system since he's been the owner who we could have signed, but we didn't, and they walked away. We haven't had that guy since 2017. Like Skubal is going to be the first test of that.
It's coming.
I think
It's
so.
coming.
I keep going. He's going to cost like you're going to want to throw up when he signs that contract,
dude.
But
My stance
think
on
they're going to.
My stance on Skubal's contract is I don't want to spend too much time talking on it because it's annoying because every fifth day we get the same news cycle on him. My opinion is I don't care about what he is as a 40-year-old. I don't care about that. I want him when he's 35. Like if we have to pay him for 10 years, I want him I don't care after that. I want him when he's 33, 34, 35.
Whatever how old is he? 20?
He's turning 29 this year.
Whatever, if he signs a 10-year contract, you want half of that to be good. The rest of that you can figure out. But like I get what you're saying. I just think when you're that good, and I know the last half of whatever contract he signs is probably not going to be pretty. It's going to be Miguel Cabrera all over again. But like when you're that,
but
good,
like the Miguel Cabrera signing, you had to sign him. Like there's no way you could let him walk. Like one of my friends has said, Tarek Skubal is a unicorn. You keep those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think you do.
I don't know that I agree.
I don't know. I also like if Lee and I got into a little bit of a disagreement over the trade over. I think we were talking about Mason Miller and like, would you trade? Was it Lozano? Was that who we were talking about? Would you trade your number 3 prospect for Mason Miller?
For Mason Miller, it would have had to have been Kevin McGonigal. For Mason Miller, that's who it would have had to be.
Whoever it was, but I remember us talking about Mason Miller, and I looked and Mason Miller's so good, and like he has such an elite skill set that I'm like,
I don't trust relievers. I don't think it's.
If you're the Tigers, I would in that context matters. Yes, I would have.
It's such a coin flip though, and like Lee, I don't think you're wrong, and I think I would have heavily considered it because you're going for it right now. Like this is where you're going to make a silly decision because you think you can win the World Series right now. And relievers, I know the Twins just hopefully made a killing. They didn't make a killing on all their. They just traded their entire bullpen. People go nuts for relievers at the deadline. Mason Miller he's so good. Like
I actually wanted to talk about Kevin McGonigal at some point today, so let's talk about this now. Kevin McGonigal's stats since he got called up to Double A. So this is 24 games, so not the tiniest sample size, but not a huge sample size. He's currently batting .297 with a .394 on base with a .976 OPS. He just got called up
That's
to
awesome.
Double A. That's in 24 games. He's insane right now. He had a 2-homer game the other day. He's got 5 home runs. He's the number 2 overall prospect now. I want this guy to start. I want this guy to start at shortstop next year. At this point, I'm like, I want him on the team next year. He is unbelievable at the moment.
You mean number 2 global prospect, right? Not the
number 2 global prospect. Yes.
That's not out of the realm of possibility. He could be the starting shortstop.
Yeah.
At this
point. It's a kind of a question mark if he'll stay at short or if we'll go to second. But my point is, I want him on the starting lineup in 26 because he has been unbelievable this year.
Gleyber was a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, he's a 1-year deal. And we got Colt Keith, who is signed long-term, and he plays second and third, but I think we're keeping him at third. They have a lot of interesting decisions to make this offseason in terms of, do they keep Gleyber Torres at second, hope Kevin is good enough at short, and then Keith is at third, or do they keep Keith at second?
I think you're getting another year of Trey Sweeney, and you're going to like it.
And Javi, don't forget Javi.
Well, you're stuck with him for good or bad. But I wonder. I don't know. Do you feel like they're going to re-sign Graber? I feel like that's a.
I would love if they re-signed him. I don't know if they will because we have such a. Because okay, the idea for McGonigal is it's not necessarily his glove that's lighting the world on fire. He's playing shortstop every day, pretty much, right? But they could move him to second, and then he would be the long-term guy at second. Or we have Colt Keith who stays at second, or he can move to third, right? So it's kind of a dilemma of, do you think how long of a deal does Gleyber want? Do you want him to be at second for this long, or do we want to take the chance on McGonigal and Colt Keith being as good or better than Gleyber would be in that time frame? If that makes
presumably, sense. This was a 1-year prove-it deal for Gleyber. I think he's proved it.
So he's going to get paid. Yeah.
Also, I'm just curious because that's what I couldn't remember. So this is his baseball reference page, and sorry, it's tiny. I'm on a split screen here, but oh my goodness. So sorry guys. All right, so that's Detroit. 760 is OPS. Does anyone know what an OPS is for? An OPS plus is for second base. It's probably under 100.
Like average.
Yeah.
I can look it up. I can try and.
Oh, he's hitting his career average OPS plus. What's his strikeout rate? I guess that's going to be.
The average OPS for second baseman in MLB is typically around 700 to 766.
Oh, apparently. Okay. So that's a 50-point difference. That's not as helpful. Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine.
That's just what Google AI has told me. I don't know how to really.
No, yeah, a 50-point difference in OPS is.
What was his OPS?
His OPS is 766.
Second baseman this year in Major League Baseball, their OPS is 684.
So he's well above that.
Oh, I got Fangraphs.
Yeah. So he's at a 112. He's at 766 OPS.
He's one of the best hitting second basemen in MLB right now.
And he was an all-star starter.
Yeah, it's a very weak position, but he's also one of the best at that position in just batting. He's very good. He's been amazing for us.
What did he get
who knows how long that will stay, right? Because this is his best year since 2019.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's kind of complicated on whether we'll sign him or not, because it depends on, do we move McGonigal over to second, or do we keep him at short? And where do we put Colt Keith? Do we put him at third? Yeah, et cetera, et cetera.
Wait, you said no. Graber's had some really good years, actually.
Yeah, he had a couple good years, but then the past few years have been a little bit. Not 2022 was good for.
I was about to say 20. I mean, other than he was fine last year. He was a capable starter last year. He's gonna pass that this year, but he's been, I guess, like 2021 was a bad year.
His reputation is as a butcher, though, in the field. How has he been defensively, Lee? Have you noticed?
I haven't really noticed that he's been
Well, that's a good
horrible.
thing. You would
Yeah,
notice if it was horrible.
that in itself is.
Yeah, he's not been noticeably bad. I don't know what the metrics say on him, but I think it puts him as below average. But he's been
Yeah,
fine.
-1. That's fine.
Yeah,
You
like
could live with
I'll
that
you know
if he
what
was hitting like he
I
is.
can work with that. He hasn't made a whole bunch of errors, that kind of thing. Let me pull up his
So it's looking like 2024 was an outlier.
Yeah, that's what it's really looking at. Looking like standard fielding. All right, let's look this. So in terms of standard fielding, he is -8 defensive runs saved at second. I don't know how that compares to like average or anything. He's only made 4 errors compared to last year. He had 18, and 2023 he had 15. So I mean, he's been fine. He hasn't been spectacular. He's made some good plays, but he hasn't had any like atrocious errors either. I think he's had more. I think one way to put it, he has had more really good plays than really bad plays. That makes sense. He hasn't had like a really atrocious plays. I mean, like I said, only 4 errors compared to last year, 18.
So. No, I think that's. I mean, he's been a lot better than I originally. Because like when I first heard that signing, I was like, I don't know if I loved it, but I also just hate the Yankees. So anyone that was a Yankee, I'm destined to hate them. But
his errors are more focused on he doesn't really have the biggest range, which is fine. He bobbles it sometimes, but he's not like throwing the ball away or anything. Like that would be really bad. He's not doing that. It's just more like he bobbles the ball sometimes, which is fine. I can live with that. So I would, like I said, I would love it if we signed him long term. I would also not be. I would be a little upset because I really liked watching him play, but I would not be devastated if he left. I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you think qualifying offer?
I don't know what that would be.
That'd be like what, 20, 21 million?
Something like
They'll
that.
offer that, will they, or no?
I'd be fine with that. Yeah, I don't know if because right now he's getting 15. I guess it would kind of depend on the amount of years for me. If it was more than 6, I'd be like, I don't know about that.
I mean, that's what you're going to sign him for, though. I mean, I think,
but like 6 years, 6 years, 20 million a year, fine. I'd be good with that.
Yeah, I don't know what his contract will be. I'm going to guess. What I've learned the last couple, like especially the last 3 years, whatever you think a free agent's going to make, add another like 5 to 10 million and another 4 years on top of it, and that's what the deal will be. It's just gotten outrageous the last couple, especially as big market teams realize in order to get around the luxury tax, they can stretch out the deal to lower the annual average value to get like a 13-year whatever Juan Soto deal.
Yeah, let me look something up real quick, and then let's see.
Yeah, I would think they'll give him a qualifying offer, so at least he'll get a draft pick. I don't think he'll accept it.
Yeah, I guess so Javi's getting 6 years, 140, which is, but just for inflation, whatever. I guess my upper limit would be 6 years, 200 million. After that, it kind of gets a little, I don't know how I feel about it, I guess. I don't know if that would be enough to get him though.
So
that 200 million?
This is very, very high level, but over the last 3 years, Gleyber Torres has been worth 7.8 Fangraphs WAR. The next second baseman in line would be Andres Jimenez at 7.7. Jimenez is making about $20 million a year right now. He did that when he was with the Guardians. That was a little team friendly. It was also a few years ago. So probably anywhere 21 to 25 million a year probably is a good guess.
Okay.
Lee, I know you were ballparking your math, but I just want the 6 years, 200 million would give a $33 million annual average. That might be a bit. So I think the 25 might be right, but also like I've been proven wrong. Like every time somebody signs, I'm like, oh crap! It's real. Yeah. It's a coin flip. He may as well very well get that money. I just it'll
Yeah, I
be
was
interesting.
ballparking my math there.
Yeah, it
I
was
guess my
back when
point
they
would yeah.
napkin math.
I guess my point like I said, my point is I'd like it if we signed him. If we give him a ridiculous amount of money, maybe not, but like a reasonable amount, good. But I'm also not gonna be heartbroken if we let him
Sure.
walk.
I'm gonna guess he'll get a qualifying offer, reject it. You'll take your draft pick, and everyone will be happy.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's been great for us. I don't, but again, I'm really excited for Kevin McGonigal, and he might end up playing second. So, if I have to pick between Gleyber Torres and Kevin McGonigal for the next 5 years, I would take Kevin McGonigal. Honestly,
Yeah, that's fair. But
At a baseline value, like worst comes to worst, Keith could play second, Baez could play short. You have options, I guess is my point. Even if you completely strike out. Now you don't want to, but
right,
yeah.
there's players on the roster you can use.
and
And Keith has been playing a lot more third lately, and we've got a couple other guys coming up in the system who can play second, who would be good too. So if Gleyber Torres walks, and even if Kevin doesn't start, it doesn't switch to second and doesn't start in the roster, we have other guys that can play at second.
is it just me, or does second base in like the last 10 years seem like the we'll throw this guy at second spot? Like it feels like it used to be like a primary defensive position, and it may be just because the Twins have done this. Like if they don't want to move them completely to first base or left field, which you're giving up on them being a plus defender, it's like let's just give them reps at second and see what happens. Let's see if we can stretch them into a second baseman.
I
Are
That
you
think
maybe
thinking of a
defense
was
rise?
just the Twins thing.
I think defense in general has become less of a focus by teams as part of the thing.
I kind of disagree with that. I think when the shift was in, like when the shift was to the degree it was, I think you were 100% right. I think second base really was the we'll just stick, him he's sticking in left field or in right field. I feel like with the shift limitation, it has kind of brought back some urgency, like that you have to be able to field the position, but I could be wrong.
Well, with the shift too, what was happening is you wanted a guy with a stronger arm at second because he
Yeah.
was standing out in the middle of right field half the time. That's why you got Moustakas and Max Muncy playing second base a lot, is because they were third basemen,
Yes.
stronger arm.
Well,
So
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
why
was
Keith.
weird too. Is they would have third basemen with weaker arms because they were basically playing them at shortstop for a slow roller, like
yeah,
or like a hot shot that they just had to take. And it was such a weird. I still like the shift. I wish they wouldn't have limited it to the degree they did, but like it is. I get why they did it, but
That's why
it
Keith
was weird.
plays. That's why Keith plays second, because in the minor leagues he injured. He was a third baseman coming up, but he injured his shoulder. He opted not to do surgery and rehab it, but he moved to second because his arm was weaker from the injury. But now he's moving back to third because it's like he's got that strength back up.
All right, interesting. We really went off. I mean, not that we needed a subject. We talked about the Tigers for quite a bit, and we have some recaps to do. But before we do that, Dan, we're not talking about the Guardians in the recap. So how have they been? They've been them usual hot selves.
first of all, a disclaimer: I've got a cat who is upset that my wife is sleeping because she works her night shift tonight, and I'm not paying attention to her either. So if you hear meowing, I apologize. Uh, getting off of that, Guardians, last time we got together, they were in the middle of a hot streak, and that has kind of continued. They did have a rough loss last night. They were basically shut down by Hurston Waldrop of the Atlanta Braves.
Mm,
Pitched 6 innings himself. In totality, the Guardians only mustered four base runners in total. Two guys got to second base the entire game. Outside of that, they're 11-4 in their last 15. And the offense has been good enough. The starting pitching has been good enough, and the bullpen, as I spoke about last week, has been stellar. It's really ironic how the bullpen suddenly came to life after Clase's departure from it. But they're now fourth in bullpen FIP at 294. And the trio of Hunter Gaddis, Nick Enright, and Eric Sabrowski have combined for 14 and two-thirds scoreless innings over the course of these last 15 games where they've gone 11-4. On the offensive side, Kyle Manzardo has been superb. I've talked about him a lot the last couple of weeks, using the whole field more. His slash line in this 15-game stretch is 341, 460, 732. That's not an OPS. That's a slugging. 732.
Jeez.
5 home runs over those 15 games. Um, really great production right behind Jose Ramirez, hitting in the 4 spot, playing every day a little bit more than he was earlier in the season when they were platooning him more. So that's just high level. I do have 3 news items I wanted to mention, and one of them is actually the opposite. We're going to talk about somebody who's been struggling. Before I get there, uh, down on the farm, last year's first overall pick, Travis Bazzana, was promoted to double A? No, I'm sorry, triple A. I butchered that. He was promoted to triple A, Columbus, as was catcher Cooper Engel, who I believe is uh, he's one of their top 6 prospects as well. Bazzana was playing incredibly well at double A. In particular, he had a 364 on base, and he would have been on pace for about 40 doubles over the course of a full season if you were to extrapolate his numbers. He continues to play second base, which is interesting. The Guardians need to figure out what they're doing with the middle of their field. Gabriel Arias and Brian Rocchio have been playing up the middle at the major league level, and both have been playing better than they have at times. Rocchio was obviously very poor earlier this year and got demoted. He's hit a lot better since he's returned, and Arias has been better than I thought he'd be this year. I really thought he was on his last legs, last opportunity, and he's been a respectable major league shortstop all year. That being said, if Bazzana, is the real deal, he's going to force one of them out of their spot. But I think that's the way it should be, in that he needs to earn it. They can't just anoint him. And so we'll see how it goes moving forward. But he was having a really strong year at Double A outside of an injury he had that kind of took him out of the lineup for a while, and he earned the promotion. I do want to talk about Engel real quick as well. He's a catcher, really great batting eye. He had a 391 on base at Double A, and he was on pace for about 50 doubles at Double A if you extrapolate out his numbers. Bo Naylor continues to struggle at the major league level.
Yep.
He's slugging 360 this year.
Not against Minnesota. Son of a bitch.
That's very true. He is statistically very strong against the Twins. We looked that up a couple weeks ago. But he's a career 199 hitter in about 1,000 plate appearances. He's got like 940 plate appearances. I know we don't put as much stock into batting average as we used to. Being a 199 hitter, unless you're Kyle Schwarber, is not.
You have to be hitting at least 30 home runs.
You better have some extreme skills if you're going to hit 199.
Yeah. His batting eye keeps him from being completely unplayable, or at least it makes him a not horrible hitter entirely. He's got an 84 career OPS plus, though. He does walk a lot. That's pretty much all he's got going for him offensively. So if Engel, there's an opportunity there for the next guy up, and Engel has shown it at the Double A level. We'll kind of see how it progresses at Triple A. The other big thing I wanted to get to, and he started to come out of it a little bit, but Stephen Kwan, all-star, really well-renowned player across the league at this point, very particular type of player. But there's a bit of a pattern that's been noticed the last couple of years with Stephen Kwan. So through June 13th of this year, from the start of the season to June 13th, Stephen Kwan slash line, 308, 370, 435. That's a WRC plus of 128. It's good. 2.3 WAR. Really good player.
Yep.
Just to kind of add on to it, 35 doubles, 15 home runs, 22 steals would be the pace he's on. Again, extrapolating. AL Central players that had more WAR through that day than Stephen Kwan. Jose Ramirez, Bobby Witt, Michael Garcia. By the way, good for Michael Garcia.
Yeah, good for Garcia. Yeah.
End of list. Those 3. After June 16th. This is 49 games. Slash line. 233. 293. 337. It's a 75 WRC plus. 23 doubles instead of 35 is the pace. 13 homers instead of 15 is the pace. 10 steals instead of 22 is the pace.
Mm.
Here are some AL Central players that have been worth more WAR over that time frame.
Feel like this is not going to be as impressive.
Austin Hedges,
Ooh,
Cody
the
Clement,
backup catcher.
Matt Wallner. He probably doesn't deserve to be on this list. He's a decent ball player. Michael A. Taylor. Those are all guys that are good, really good at one thing, except for maybe Clemens. I don't know. But like Hedges, great defensive catcher. Wallner, power guy. Michael A. Taylor, defensive savant in the
Yeah.
outfield. You know, they have been all worth more WAR in that 6-13 today span. Quan has been battling wrist inflammation since end of May. He had a cortisone shot after the All-Star break. He missed the first series after the All-Star break. The first 9 games back after the cortisone shot, 297, 409,
Mm.
541, WRC plus 167. Since 193, 220, 263, WRC plus 32.
Ouch.
Hold on. There's more to this. Promise I'm getting near the end. There's more to this. Last year, I'm not going to throw all the numbers at you, but last year, through July 5th, WRC plus 175. From that day until 9/12, it was 80.
Mm.
What happened on 9/12? He took 2 weeks off. I put him on the IL. I forget what the injury was now. I apologize. But he took 2 weeks off. Comes back 2 games before playoffs start. Plays a couple games, ready to go for the playoffs. His WRC plus against playoff pitching, best guys. You're throwing your
Mhm.
high leverage reliever in the fifth, 158.
Man gets tired.
This man is 5'8", 180 pounds.
I bet if you remove the Tigers series from that too, it would go a lot down because he got on base pretty much every time during that.
There's
series.
a pattern here. This guy gets banged up. He tries to play hurt. His production suffers for it, and then he sits and he plays better. And the narrative in the background is contract. Do you
Mm.
want to hitch your wagon to a guy who seems to get hurt, has a small frame, etc.? It was just interesting to me, and hopefully he turns it around. But it sure seems like a pattern going on with this particular ball player, who's a really good ball player. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to denigrate Stephen Kwan. He's a really good player, but he does have his flaws, and it
Maybe I
sure
should know
seems like
this,
he gets
but
banged up.
do they cycle him through DH a lot or no?
No, he
Why?
plays left field every day.
Because
I
who
know
else
because
do you
Um,
play in left
the answer is the
field? You got
defense, but
because he's the best left fielder in the league.
because the Guardians outfield. I mean, last year I know you had a couple other
They
guys who were
That's the other.
doing.
Lee, that's a very salient point because they don't have any other good outfielders.
Yeah, because
still.
like last year you had Fry and Thomas and Noel who were doing decent, and they Noel had a good arm and he was hitting okay, and you had all these guys who were doing good or above average or just average, but then this year all those guys
They
are either
do
injured or in AAA or suck. So
they do the once a week or like the day game after night game. They DH Jose. He gets to
Right.
DH, which I think is going to happen more and more as he gets older.
Right.
They do not do that with Quan, and I think it's probably a combination of everything we just described. He's the best left fielder in the league, and who else is going to play left field?
Yeah. I mean,
best
I'm gonna
defensive
guess
left fielder.
what in the next month or so he's gonna magically go on the IL with sprained right toe or something like some
Soreness.
injury
And,
that
and the thing is, in the media, he's denying that the wrist is bothering him.
well clearly it
So
is though. Like
it
Is
must be.
anyone going to go out there and be like, yeah, my wrist really hurts, I need to go on the injured
Yeah.
list? Like,
So I don't know, man. But yeah, I think, we might be gearing up for another September IL stint. We'll see.
yep. Which
Um,
by
we'll
the way, I'm
see.
not like the Twins would do that. Well, I'd like to think the Twins did it by choice, but like we know their actual injury history. But like Michael Pineda when he was with the Twins, that was they were. I don't want to say MLB was catching on, but like every fifth or every like 10th start, suddenly there would be shoulder inflammation and they'd shut him down for 2 weeks. And Michael Pineda, if anyone doesn't remember, he was a big boy. He was like 6'4", 230, did
A big
not
dude.
look healthy. Like that would happen like twice a year, and it was clearly a Michael's gas. Like he needs 2 weeks off. So I'm not.
I
I'm
do
not
have one
against
other
it,
item.
but
I do have one other item I just want to mention real quick. Austin Hedges had a really good 24 hours. Uh, and this is just kind of funny, but in the Guardians, they did lose to Miami on Wednesday night, 13-4. It was a bit of a blowout that did also come within the midst of this 15 game, 11-4 run. But he pitched the ninth inning of that game. He was the only Guardians pitcher to not allow a run in that entire game. He then
nice.
turned around the next night, Thursday night, and was behind the plate, went 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. So,
Look at
and
Austin
that.
had this two-way
that's a
player incoming.
that's a regular hot streak for Austin Hedges to have 2 hits in a night and an RBI. So, shout out to him for that. And I don't know how we're doing, but we started play about 10 minutes ago. So
Kwan's
that's what I
on
got on the
first.
guards.
It's bottom of the first. Martinez is up, no outs.
And the Tigers Twins game just started.
Yep.
Too.
And Zebby just struck out Torres. He disagrees. Anyway, so Lee, I think I know you had some notes on the Tigers, but we also have some recaps, so I feel like they're probably going to actually come up on talking about the recaps. No?
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. So why don't we'll just show these up here. Dan disappeared. And yeah, so recap, Tigers played the White Sox, and it was as predictable as you would think that series would be. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so game one was pretty. Yes, so Paddock looked really good for this game. I don't know if that's because he's pitched well or because that's the White Sox, but
Well,
yeah.
before you get on to your other point, this is what Chris Paddock does. And you've seen the full Chris Paddock. You've seen really good start. You've seen really crappy start right away. The game is over in the third inning, and now like if he did it again, this is what Chris Paddock does. Get ready.
Yeah.
This is the ride.
Hey, he pitches for us tomorrow against the Twins, so we'll see then.
We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, Colson Montgomery had a home run for the White Sox. He's been on a tear lately. He's been actually insane. Montgomery has for the White Sox, which is exciting for him.
Yeah.
Let's see. White Sox were running a bullpen day that day. Tyler Alexander was lights out against us because, of course, he is. But I want to talk about the ninth inning. First off, the game is tied at this point, 1-1. It is not raining. Jason Benetti says, "How about a torque bomb?" And then Torque immediately hits a home run. Like, I'm not kidding. Right then. And then 5 minutes later, that prayer apparently opened up the heavens. It proceeds to rain for an hour, and then the game has 10 more minutes of play. So that was...
Not to make a bad joke, but right before Benetti clearly phoned down to Torkelson to hit a home run, did he gamble on it? Because I feel like that's suspicious. Is that a low blow?
I don't think so. Yeah, but yeah, it was pretty good game. Pitching looked good for us there. I mean, it's the White Sox. I don't know how much you can judge on that, but yeah, looked good. Torque had a home run. I forget how the other run was scored. I think that one was
Watched that game too, and I just want to say, like that rainstorm came out of nowhere. Like it was fine, and then all of a sudden it was pouring, and it looked like the initial inclination was, oh, we could play through this. It's the ninth inning. No, it just Mother Nature was unrelenting, and yeah, it was an incredibly well timed home run by Torkelson. I think I was listening to the White Sox broadcast, so I didn't hear Benetti say that, but big hit and a big spot by him.
Was it the TV broadcast
for Benetti?
I don't recall.
No, for the White Sox.
I don't remember, honestly. I listened to the radio broadcast a lot, so it could have been either.
Because I like Steve Stone for the White Sox. I cannot stand the White Sox new play-by-play guy, and that's saying something because Hawk Harrelson was the predecessor, and I hated him even more.
I must have been listening to the radio broadcast because I know Steve Stone's voice and I don't recall me listening to him recently for what
Oh,
it's
he
worth.
just seems like a tryhard to me. Sorry, White Sox fans, all four of you that are left, but like, man, he's trying too hard. Take it down a notch. Anyway, sorry, Lee, I interrupted you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, the home run was it was really hard hit. It was just a matter of if it would stay fair, but it did hit the foul
Yes.
pole and it did not. I saw it described it. It did not have time to get fouled because he hit it so hard. But yeah, I actually had family at this game. They did not stay through the rain delay, which extremely fair because the game lasted 10 minutes after the rain delay ended. So
Yeah.
no, it was top of the ninth with this 2 strikes and 2 outs on McKinstry. The new White Sox reliever comes out, throws one pitch, gets the strikeout, and then the White Sox go 1-2-3 in the bottom of the ninth. It was a
Also,
very silly rain delay, but you have to have a rain delay.
I'm just noticing this. Is game two and game one and game two, is that the same snippet?
Oh shit! I did accidentally put the
One
wrong
sec. All right.
ones.
We're
Yeah.
gonna pull that back. That's all right. We don't. That's not as. No worries. I was like, wow, what a remarkably close game.
No, the game two was not as close in the White Sox, and the White Sox won that one. Uh, yeah, game two, that was White Sox ended up winning that one 9-6. Jack Flaherty he didn't look great, but he didn't look horrible either. The first 2 outs were like sharply hit fly balls to deep center, which like made me nervous right away. But he didn't give up home runs. He got BABIP'd to death in the 5th inning.
Yeah.
Me and my friends were watching this at the same time, and it was a bunch of like little bloopers over the infield or sharply hit stuff that gets just past the infield. It was a bunch of that little shit, which is very frustrating to watch. But the Tigers offense also couldn't figure stuff out until later innings, and then it was too little too late. They scored 3 in the 8th, I think it was, off a Dylan Dingler home run. And then, the bullpen comes in and also doesn't help anything because our bullpen is questionable at best still these days. But yeah, I mean, Jack Flaherty, his last 2 starts haven't been good, but also it was a lot of bad luck on this for the White Sox game. So I don't really know how to judge that. I think Colson Montgomery hit another home run because he hit like 11 in the span of 30 games or whatnot since he's gotten called up. Yeah, he's been really good for them.
He looks really good.
Yeah.
Strong kid.
I don't know, he's not going to continue hitting, 10 home runs in 30 games pace, but I think he's going to be a guy who can hit 30 home runs a season for them.
Yeah, there's this. That's right. I was watching that game and they showed the stat. Him, Jose Abreu, and Zeke Benaru, some guy from the White Sox in the 30s. They were the 2 guys that had more home runs in the first 30 games in White Sox history than Colson Montgomery.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be, good. I think he's going to be good for them long term, is what my opinion
Zeke
is.
Benaru. Again,
Ooh,
sorry to the 4 White Sox fans. I mispronounced the gentleman's name. Zeke Benaru.
That's a fun name. Yeah. So that was kind of not a great game. I mean, Tigers' offense was fine, but we had so many opportunities where we had runners on base and we couldn't score them. But I mean, you're not going to win a lot of games when your pitching allows 9 runs. So whatever, right? But game 3, this is my new favorite saying. This game could have been an email. The only
1-0.
Yeah. No, I slept through this game because it was a 2 p.m. game, and my sleep schedule was all messed up with work. I didn't miss anything apparently because I do this thing where when I wake up after doing dengues, I'm like, ooh, do I want to check the score? I don't know, because lately it's been very scary for the Tigers have been very up and down this past month and a half ish. But I look and I see, oh look, the only run scored was off of Wenzel Perez sac fly. I missed literally nothing.
Oh,
I think, yeah,
that is a rough game to watch. Then that's fair.
Yeah, Shane Smith continues to shut down the Tigers. I think that's just his thing. Troy Melton,
Go
ahead.
How deep did Smith get into that game? I'm curious. If you don't know, that's okay. I'll look it up.
I don't know off the top of my head. I think he got fairly deep.
He hasn't been pitching deep into games. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Troy Melton, he started off because we did a bullpen day for that game. He started off. He ended up pitching 5 innings. He could have gone longer, but I guess they didn't. He's been pitching out of the bullpen. They wanted him to be available in the next few days and not have to take 5 days off. He could have gone longer. Pitched 5 scoreless, 1 hit ball. Sawyer Gibson Long pitched another 2-3 innings. I want Troy Melton in the starting rotation. I don't care. I want him to be a starter. He is good, and he's going to be good. Yeah, that's my point on for that pretty much. I mean, yep, not really much to say about the third game because nothing really happened. Shane Smith, I don't know how good of a pitcher he is, but he's good. I think he's going to be one of those guys who shuts down the Tigers every time. For some reason we cannot score off this guy. We faced him 3 times, and all 3 times he's pretty much shut us down.
So Shane Smith had 6 straight starts where he hadn't pitched into the. He had less than 5 innings in 6 straight starts until Seattle on August 7th, and then Detroit this past week. Was just curious on that. Like I said, he hasn't been pitching deep into ball games. And in those 2 games, he pitched 5 innings. So again, not super deep, but he at least high water mark for where he's been recently.
So I did have a funny thing. So remember the one Royals game where Tigers won 1-0 and the only run scored off a wild pitch, which is more anticlimactic boring. The only run scored off a wild pitch or off a sac fly. Which would you say is worse?
Sac fly. Wild pitch, at least, like, you can anticipate it, where a sac fly is like a meh to me.
If I was cheering for the losing team for the wild pitch, they would infuriate me.
This is a good
So if it's the losing team situation for me, I vote wild pitch. If I'm the winning team, I vote sacrifice fly.
To be fair, for the wild pitch, we would have scored anyway because the batter hit a single after that. But for all intents and purposes, the run scored on the wild pitch.
Yeah.
I think the worst one would be the wild pitch because offensively, you did nothing to earn that win.
Also, I'm trying to. Oh, please forgive me, Twins fans, the few of you that are left after the Pohlad news. But I'm pretty sure the Twins won the '91 World Series off of a sac fly. So maybe I should really change my tune.
Tim Kirkshin would call it the most exciting play in baseball. So
yeah,
beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, good series for the Tigers. Kind of. I mean, it's. Now that the Tigers are winning, everyone's like, "Oh, it's the White Sox, and we only won by 1 run," and blah blah. Whatever. It's wins or wins. It's
Right.
the same.
All about the W.
Yeah. Yeah, and that note, I mean, because the Tigers had that really bad stretch, but since they had that losing streak where they won 1 game in 13 or whatever the hell it was, they have since gone 12-6. Now, those games are against they've won games against the Diamondbacks, Minnesota, the White Sox, and the Angels. So they're not exactly facing cream of the crop teams.
How dare you?
But they went 12-6. So I mean, they're back to winning. I don't know. We face the Astros next, so that'll be a real test to see how back this team is. But I guess this is a good transition to talk about the Twins Tigers series because the last 2 games for the Tigers have really looked like this is the team that I know. That's the way they're playing is like, yeah, this is the Tigers.
Yeah, that's fair. Full disclosure, I did not see any of last night's game, the 7-0, and it sounds like I'm kind of happy about it. I don't think I missed a whole lot. I was in bed already, but I don't know if what the first game was. Boy, it felt like the Twins should have had it. Like Scooble was on the mound, and the Twins had, well, let's just say their lineup since. I mean, their lineup wasn't very impressive before the trade deadline. After the trade deadline, it's names, and that's about all you can say for it. It's Byron Buxton, followed by who's that guy, and former ex-top prospect. Austin Martin is leading off against for the Twins pretty regularly now. So Scooble's on the mound, doing his typical thing, and then the Twins put their lineup. They have they stack the righties 1 through 6. 1 through 5 is righties, and then they have Trevor Larnach, who's a left-handed hitter at 6, Brooks Lee, who's a switch hitter at 7, and then 2 lefties, Alan Roden and Edouard Julien, who, let's be honest, have about the chance of a snowball's chance in hell to face Tarek Skubal, the best left-handed pitcher in the world. And somehow, Edouard Julien, who has 1 home run against a left-hander in his career, took Skubal deep, and it was glorious.
That's the first home run by a lefty against Skubal this year. Also, I saw that. I was getting ready to leave for work, and I see that the Twins scored, and I'm like, ah, dang. And I look and I go, who the hell is Edouard Julien?
He had. I still believe in. Believe is probably a bit strong, but Julian kind of came on pretty hard a couple years ago. He and Austin Martin just got thrown second. That's great. And he's just kind of flailed since then. He has surprising power. He's kind of a small dude. He ended up learning. He's French Canadian. Never spoke English until he got to school at Clemson, which I believe is in Alabama. So imagine a French Canadian who doesn't speak English learning English from Alabama, which I'm sure there's a lot of good stories there. Yeah, he had a really good year 2-3 years ago, and then just is kind of flailed since then. So I'm still pulling for him, but he's probably not going to be in the majors in 2 years.
Yeah, I don't. So, can I talk a little bit about Skubal? Let me share my screen here if I can do that. Okay, so this is Skubal's log, and right now I think he's still the favorite for the Cy Young. Also, I love him. He stays off my pitching shit list because I have a shit list for all the Detroit Tigers pitching staff, and everyone except for Skubal and Finnegan is on there right now. He's still the favorite for Cy Young this year, I would say, because he's ridiculous. I mean, look at this. He's going to pass his strikeout total for last year. He's still leading in ERA, in FIP, in WHIP, et cetera, et cetera. But his last few starts are a little concerning, I'd say. So I'm going to go back to the Seattle game right now. Since Seattle at 6 games, we have won 4 of those games, lost 2. He has a 3.72 ERA with a 3.41 FIP and 5 home runs, 15 earned runs in 36 innings. That's not fantastic, right? And so what I've described for the Tigers last week is I said they've looked good, not great. That's kind of what Skubal has been lately. Mm-hmm. It's good, but not great. Like 3.72 ERA, that is fine for like a middle starter. Yes. You know, that's not your ace. You know?
I mean, his FIP is still pretty good. I mean, yes, I get what you're saying. He has an absurdly high bar.
Yes, it has a very high bar. But then the last 3 games, he's given up 10 earned runs, 4 home runs, good for a 4.82 ERA.
Sure.
Like, it's a little worrying. Yeah. That's just what I just wanted to kind of talk about it. I just wanted to mention it because it's been a little scary.
I mean, is his velo been fine? Like, his velo's fine, isn't it?
His velo is fine. He finished off against the Twins with throwing 98.
Right. Like, is he walking more guys than normal?
It's his command. He hasn't been able to locate as well. He's walking a whole lot of guys. Look at this. If we go back to Seattle series again, in the last 6 games, he has 42 strikeouts to 9 walks. Like, that's good. That's not what he's done so far this season, right? You know, so
it's a little high, you know.
Yeah, he's the last 2 games he's walked 4 guys, which is fine for a regular starter. For Tarek Skubal, that is bad,
right?
You know. Yeah,
I can see how when Skubal, not to be harsh on the rest of the Tigers rotation, but it's Skubal and then a pretty significant drop off. Yeah. Casey Mize has been all-star caliber and obviously a literal all-star this year, but I could see how if the best pitcher, I think Paul Skeens is probably the best pitcher in the world. Is there any debate on that? I know Scooble's really good, but Paul Skeens has been outworldly. But Skeens, if he's not going to be the best lefty in the world, I could see how that'd be concerning.
Yeah, and like this last start against Minnesota, 2 walks to 3 strikeouts. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's what was like. I was taking a victory lap in my head because it took him until like the 4th inning
yeah,
to get his first strikeout against the Twins, who, oh, that's crushed. Nope, I lied. Okay, McKinstry, it looked like it hit really well. Sorry. Detroit's up 1-0 in the top of the second, though,
ooh,
for anyone
nice.
that cares. But yeah, I was almost taking a victory lap that they hadn't struck out because the Twins have been striking out a lot over the last couple of years. So that was
Hell,
weird.
I mean, his last start against Minnesota, he struck out 13 of them in 7. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's not. He's not been bad. He's been fine, but like Tarek School is better than fine. I guess is
Right.
my
Can you
point.
can you do me a favor for my own team's ego's sake? Can you go back to his homepage and go to comparison?
Oh, comparison for
Yes.
yeah.
Yep, comparison right there. Type in Joe Ryan. I'm not telling, and then go to 2025. I'm not telling you Joe Ryan is near Tarek Skubal, but he is having a really, really good year. And
Yeah,
like
he
it's
is.
really flying underneath the radar. And I just want someone to acknowledge that Joe Ryan is entering a Cy Young conversation. Scubal's gonna win it. I'm not under any illusion, but I think he'll get a couple Cy Young votes, and that needs to be acknowledged. That's all.
Yeah, that's very fair. Joe Ryan has been really good. He's a
That's
good
why I
pitcher.
was I was disappointed Joe Ryan wasn't initially named an All-Star. I know he got in, later after the fact, but he pitched well enough in the first half where he
Yeah.
shouldn't have had to wait for somebody to get injured to get to the All-Star team.
And I, and
Um,
Lee, can you just click his page, like click his name, and then just look. He's had like he's had some good years. Like he's had other than like a couple years ago, he had a really hit an all star caliber season, and then he like tweaked his groin. Um, yeah, if you can just go to his page, if
Yeah.
possible.
I did. I don't know why it's not showing on.
Oh, it probably went to a new tab.
Oh yeah, share this tab instead. There we go. I got it.
So he's had, I mean, even last year, I'm trying to look through, where is it at here? He had 3 WAR last year. He actually missed the last like 2 months of the season with like a shoulder strain injury, some muscle. And then
Yeah,
the year before that, he had a really good start. So it's not like this is new to Minnesota, because when Joe Ryan is on the mound, he's been very good. And I'm just happy that he's been healthy this year and like proving how good he is.
I
yeah,
just want
he's
to say
he's really good.
to the point that Lee was making about Scooble, what I'm hearing is, and I shudder to say his name, but I hear the Emmanuel Classe dilemma all over again, where a guy had an 0.60 ERA last year. At some point, he was going to not pitch at that clip.
Yeah.
Scooble is phenomenal. I I I think the gap between him and Skeens is a lot closer than maybe described, but he's going to have a few games where they're not even clunkers. They're just he's not pitching to that same
Right.
you know otherworldly level, and it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm hoping it's that simple.
that's very fair because like this up until now he's been absolutely dominant in terms of like he's been better than he was last. I'm gonna go back to his page, but like he's been better than he was last year, and last year was an insane season. And he still is on pace to continue being better than he was last year. But it is like the first couple games he didn't look as good, and so it's like, oh, were we holding him to too high of a standard, et cetera, et cetera? But then he figured it out. But yeah, he's kind of talked about it after the game a couple days ago. He said, yeah, he's been kind of struggling a lot. He's trying to make sure he doesn't do too much in terms of like figure it out pretty much. But I just kind of wanted to look at this briefly because yeah. But then after the 3rd inning, I mean, shut down the Twins. I
Yeah.
mean, he went 7 innings. So
Well, and even the 3 runs he gave up, the exit velos were pathetic. It was Julian's home run, which was 105, no doubter. That one deserved to be a home run. That should hurt him. And then it was like 74, 78, 84. And they were just these little bloopers, and like somebody stole a base, and suddenly the Twins had 3 runs on the board. That's all it was. It was nothing. It's not like the Twins suddenly figured out Scooble. They just happened to get the bat on have the pitch hit the bat, and it found some grass.
Yeah,
I
it
was
was.
really I was really hoping that the other Edward Julian home run against a lefty was against like Max Fried or some other like a not Alex Vesia,
Oh,
Dodgers left-handed reliever. I was hoping he was the ace killer or
I was
something.
about to
He's
say that
not.
would just be great. Because I
That'd be
remember.
incredible.
Does anyone remember Luis Rivas for the Twins? It was like
Yes.
early second baseman, came up real young, flamed out really quick. He had, I think, like 5 career home runs, and like 4 of them were against the Royals. Like it was just
That's
ridiculous,
amazing.
and he only played for like 3 years, so it was just stupid. Like how where his home runs came from.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to talk about the rest of the game, I guess most of it doesn't really get interesting until the extra innings. Because Kyle Finnegan came out, he was awesome. And then we switched to Holton for the last inning .1, which scared me a little bit because anyone not named Will Vest or Kyle Finnegan coming in high leverage is a little scary right now. But he looked good. And then we brought out Rafael Montero, and I was following the game on Twitter a bit because I was at work, and a lot of it was Rafael Montero is warming up. That's a joke, right? We're not actually going to pitch him, right? And we bring him in against Byron Buxton. And I'm sorry, I'm going to share my screen again because I just want to show this
Yep.
at bat for against Buxton. Montero throws 3 pitches right down the dick, and then
Challenged
somehow
him.
gets it out.
He was just scared of the smoke.
Yeah, and I'm like, how? I was driving during this at bat. By the way, I was like, how? And I heard the crack of the bat, and I was like, that's a home run. But no, it was a line out.
Yeah, to be fair, look at the exit velo and look at the expected batting on that. And
Yeah,
thank the scouting report for where
Yep.
Javi was standing on that one.
Yep.
seriously, because man, if I want to go to the player breakdowns, if I could look at Rafael Montero in general. Yeah, those 3 pitches, but then everywhere else, he pitched the 11th inning and he looked really good. So yeah, I don't know what Rafael Montero is, but I will give him credit for this game because that was a really good pitching by him.
In theory, the Twins are a Major League Baseball team.
Yeah.
They've
Hey,
had 2 All-Stars this year. Both are still on the team somehow. Yeah, I don't like. I'll. Can I just talk about the Twins, like what they're? Because I missed last week, and it was really kind of like the first time I can kind of digest what this team, I think, is pretending to be, and it's basically Timu Guardians, which they've been trying to do for a while now, but now they have players involved that I think they can do. They just like I said at the top of the show, I've probably had more fun watching this team since the All-Star break because there's been no expectations. It's been like the first week of summer where nobody cares and this is just fun again. But you have Luke Keeschel, who has been fantastic for 2 weeks. I hope he is that guy, like Royce Lewis was a couple years ago. And it's Austin Martin who is still leading off. I think he has like a 670 OPS. He's just a singles line drive hitter who is really aggressive. And then you
Is
have
he
Bucks.
to
Well,
continue the analogy? Is he Timu right-handed Stephen Kwan?
oh God, not even. I mean, don't insult Timu Stephen Kwan. Uh,
Fair. Okay.
he he's just not a good Major League
Maybe
Baseball
maybe
player.
Timu Stephen Kwan with a wrist injury.
What is Timu Stephen Kwan's Timu Stephen Kwan? Like that's like we need to go another like
Yeah.
black or dark web Stephen Kwan. Like you just downloaded malware. This is what Austin Martin is. Uh, but like he'd probably be fine as a backup role. He's not good defensively, but they're playing him in center and leadoff. And like honestly, this is his last chance, and I'm fine with it. Whatever. You got to see if there's a 5% chance he can be a serviceable major leaguer and you have 2 months to evaluate, screw it. Put him at the leadoff spot. Nobody cares about this year anymore. But he's just aggressive and like I'll say aggressive kindly. Stupidity might be the better word for it because he's just like the answer isn't will Austin Martin try to steal second base. It's what pitch is he going to take off on? Or is he going to stretch this single into a double? Yep, sure is. And then you have Buxton behind him. You have Luke Keeschel, who's like this. Obviously everyone in Minnesota is ready to put the plaque, to retire the jersey, ready to build a statue for him at this point. And you have Ryan Jeffers, who's really been interesting. I think people kind of view him as like a power first catcher. He kind of abandoned the power game. He's now just like trying to hit singles for contact. He has like a 280 batting average. He has 6 home runs on the year, and fine, I guess. I don't know. Wallner's heating up. They're just more. There's not that much power. They're gonna put ball to the bat or bat to the ball. You're probably not expecting them to score more than 3 or 4 runs. And like the Guardians, you hope they do it in the 8th inning at the most inconvenient time and they can force a play. The Guardians have just been doing it for the last 15 years, and the Twins have been trying to copy the Guardians for a couple years, and they're now just have the roster to maybe do it, but they're just still not good players. We'll see. The bullpen, who the F knows? There's guys they're bringing in. What's it, Krisky? I don't know his first name. I probably won't look up what Krisky's first name is. I don't care. He's not going to be on the team next year. There was a guy a couple games ago. His name was Davis. I also don't know his name. What was actually really funny when they were playing, I think it was the Yankees. It was a blowout. On the baseball, on the at-bat app, they just had player number 45 for the Twins bullpen. They didn't even have a name.
Oh, no.
Even worse, that player had been on the roster. It was Travis Adams. He's been on the roster for like a month. But it's just like, it's that level of, wait, who's in the Twins bullpen? Oh, I don't know. Just put whatever. It's like a couple years ago when Oscar Taveras was he was the minor league baseball guy standing on third base, if you remember that screenshot. We'll see. This team's a disaster. It's a mess, but at least it's kind of entertaining for now. But
poorly thought out version of the Guardians.
Yeah. Well, they better play like the Guardians because the payroll will be probably lower than theirs later than next year. We'll see. Maybe the significant limited ownership is going to supplement $80 million in payroll, and this team will be respectable. That's an outcome, right? Right? All right.
They've got that minority ownership has $400 million in debt to pay off. So I don't know.
Suddenly, they volunteered for that. God dang it! And there's 2 of them, so it's only $200 million between them.
Do we want to mention the Rocco ejection? Just because.
Sure. Yeah. You have. I think you found it more entertaining than I did.
Probably. I mean, I found it more entertaining because Dan Dickerson and Bobby Scales on the radio found it extremely entertaining. But it was the top of the 11th. Montero got a foul tip strikeout. That's how it was called. And Dingler caught it. Rocco comes charging out of the dugout because he thinks it hit the dirt, and he wanted to look at the ball and see if it hit the dirt. But before you could do that, Dingler threw the ball back to Montero, and that got him even more upset. But they're describing all this, and Rocco got ejected. But I think Rocco was more upset because Skubal was getting a lot of calls, which is extremely fair. That's true. But it's very funny how upset he was over this. But the way they're describing it, Dan Dickerson just cracks up and is just giggling about it the next 2 batters because Montero then knows what the argument is all about, right? They want to look at the ball, and Montero throws the ball back to the Tigers' dugout, skipping it in the dirt on the way there, so they can't even look at it, even if they wanted to.
Which honestly, that makes me respect Montero because, like, that is just a veteran player. Like,
it's a high IQ move.
Like that's like the guy. I I can't remember. It was like it's on every blooper reel where it's a squibber down the third base line and the third baseman gets on his belly and blows the ball
Blowing on it.
foul. It's that level of
Yeah.
good. Like, because
Yeah.
all Rocco wants to do is like, let's look to see if there's a scuff, and here's Montero like scuffing it anyway. Like, that's good.
So
Good for him.
I do want to say really quick, I've talked about my frustration with Rocco Baldelli and how I think he's like the Karen manager of Major League Baseball. He's my least favorite manager in the division. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like, oh, we all got to stop the game for Rocco because he wants to inspect the baseball, and I get that there's a legitimate baseball reason for that, but that doesn't fit my narrative. And my narrative is that he's annoying, and this is a perfect example of that. I gave him a lot of credit in our Discord a couple of days ago for putting that lineup together where Julian hit the home run. Well, I take it back.
Yeah. What was funny to, and like just to go back to this like what was leading up to it is like Scooble was getting a lot of calls because also one, he's a Cy Young caliber. We all know their strike zone gets a little bit bigger, but they also like on the Twins and this is what I really appreciate about the Twins broadcast and Corey Provis, and it was oh my goodness, Glenn Perkins. They were saying like Scooble's getting a lot of calls, and then they looked up Dylan Dingler's Savant page, and he's like a 94th percentile pitch framer, and then they specifically said, but he of that 94th percentile, he is specifically good at stealing balls at the bottom of the zone, and he can get more calls that way. Well, that's what Scooble was getting. So like, was the umpire expanding the zone? Yes. Was Kubel getting too many calls? Yes. And like Rocco was frustrated about it because obviously there's a lot to be frustrated about the team right now. He almost got ejected, I think, in the sixth inning because he
Sixth or
was chirping at
seventh.
he was chirping
Yeah.
at the umpire then. But so like by the time we get to the ninth inning, the game is basically over to the Twins. The Twins should have won that game. But what's weird about Rocco's ejection, he has 18 career ejections, and 4 of them have been this year. But like this year, he has the he came out to the mound this time, or he came out to argue with the umpire this time, and he did the classic kick dirt on home plate, and then he's still arguing, blah blah. He's going back to the dugout, and then as he is like approaching the dugout, about to go down the steps, he just takes off his hat and just flings it behind him back on the field, and like everyone is like, "Why? What does this do?" And like what made me like really crack up is you see Rocco throw the hat. And then you could basically count to 2. And then you just see the ball boy in frame stand up, run out, go pick up his hat, and then just get back in the dugout. Like it was almost like, "I'll go pick that up for you, sir." It was almost adorable. I'm gonna guess that ball boy did not give Rocco his hat back. I think that would have been a mistake.
Yeah, I guess I just found that so amusing because the radio guys found it. They were cracking up. They were hysterical over it. It was the way they described it was very entertaining. So I guess yeah. Oh, and then tiny last thing, Javi Baez had great plays at both center and shortstop. That's my all-star center fielder right there.
Yeah, how's he been playing the last month?
Doesn't matter. He had 2 RBIs yesterday, so. Well, no, I think it would have been 2. No, it was 1, and it could have been 2 if Joey Cora wasn't drunk. But whatever.
I certainly haven't been right about the Minnesota Twins and how good I thought they were going to be. So I'm glad that at least I'm tracking the Javi Baez and taking that as an outside source of how smart I am. All right.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on
the first game there?
Any other thoughts on the series? I mean, it looks like I'm hoping the Twins avoid a sweep. That's about as much as I could. Right now, the Twins are down 2-0, and there's no outs on top of the third.
No, Charlie Morton looked good. We got less yesterday. Old man Chuck, 41. He's 41. I keep calling him like he's 50, but he's 41. But I mean, he looked good. But I also don't know because it was the Twins. But
yeah,
he looked good. Offense took advantage of opportunities. Bullpen. Sorry, I keep talking a lot, but I prepared these stats, so I want to prep them. I want to talk about them a tiny bit. So the relief pitch bullpen for the Tigers lately. Okay, since July 28th, that's a cherry picked date, but whatever. Since July 28th, uh, they have the bullpen has a 3.22 ERA, which is good for eighth since in that period, which is good because if we look from July 1st to July 27th, they had a 6.31 ERA, which is 28th. So, yeah. So I don't know if I'm not ready to say that the bullpen is back on track, but I am ready to say that they've looked good lately. Right. How about we go with that?
I'll take that a step further. And even it's August 16th as we record this. Even though the bullpen was terrible last month, and this month they've been better, the bullpen you're going to see in the playoffs is still going to be a completely different bullpen. So it's really even hard to evaluate them now. Get me 2 weeks out from the playoffs and see who's in the bullpen, and then we can start figuring out what it might look like,
Yeah, we'll have to see, but I'm a little bit more encouraged because I hope I'm not jinxing by saying this, but the bullpen has not allowed a run in the last 3 games. So that is something.
Can't hate it.
And they've not allowed a run in 4 out of the last 5. So.
Well, here's to one of them throwing a very suspicious pitch in the dirt for the first pitch of the inning, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Herter had a strikeout yesterday where he hit a guy in the chest, but still got the strikeout. So.
That's all I have. I have to make fun of the one aspect of other teams I can make fun of is if they are actually breaking rules. That's all I have left. I will turn toxic.
I know. You and Rocco get real upset about people breaking rules.
Don't make me throw my hat.
You're not even wearing a hat. You're going to go find a hat and then throw it?
I actually wear a hat most of the time. It is weird that I don't wear one on here. But anyway, let's talk about the schedules and the predictions, because I have to give a baby a bath in about 9 minutes, or my wife will be coming through that door, and it will be the last you will ever see of me. So let's go to the schedule. Starting with the Tigers, they're finishing up their massacre of the Twins. They then go to the Astros and then the Royals. The Guardians finishing up with the Braves, the Diamondbacks, and then going to Texas. The Royals finishing up with the White Sox, 4 games at Texas, and then going to Detroit. The Twins, thank God, are playing the A's, even though I probably shouldn't be as excited about that, and then playing the White Sox, so we'll see what happens with that. And then the White Sox playing Kansas City, the Braves, and then to Minnesota. So we can probably predict the Minnesota White Sox series, which is, I'm sure, very exciting for everyone to talk about, or to everyone to predict. That's the marquee matchup we were all thinking of when we thought about this prediction tab. But yeah, let me just.
We could also do Tigers Royals. That one's going to be.
Oh, that's right. There's Tigers Royals too. Sorry, selfishly, I should know that. I just focused on my team. All right, let me actually.
Not fair.
Swap here. Prediction tracker. All right, let's start. It was Kansas City and the White Sox?
That's the one we've already. That's one that's going on right now. There's Kansas City and the Tigers, and then Twins and White Sox.
KC versus Detroit. All right. Lee, who do you got? KC, Detroit.
I'm going to go with Detroit on this one.
I haven't even looked. Has Kansas City been playing well? I have not even looked at other teams. They've been doing the same thing all year.
Yeah, they're not particularly great, but they haven't been horrible either. I don't have the thing up, but
fair enough.
In their last 10, I think they're like 4-6.
Yeah,
they've been floating around 500. I know Sam last week was a little enthused with kind of the changes they made. Yastrzemski, in particular, hitting leadoff for them. So
I think they're at 500 right now. They're 5 for 5 in their last 10, yeah. So they're fine.
Yeah. All right. Dan.
Detroit. Seth, the other thing I've noticed about them is Seth Lugo hasn't been as good the last couple times out, and the natural reaction there is, is it because he got the contract extension? No, but just something I noticed.
How do you guys feel about that contract? I like it, but it's also risky. He's 35.
I forget the details of it. What's the?
It's like 2 years at like 20 million. Like it wasn't. It's
That's
not gonna
fine.
like blow the
2-year
bank.
deal that's nothing.
I just feel like he's gonna be a reliever in the next 2 years. That's the only thing. Like, and that's fine. They're gonna overpay slightly, like not slightly for a reliever, but like it's gonna be hard for that to really backfire badly. But I kind of wonder if you wanted to invest $20 million next year, who could you have gotten? But I don't know.
I think that's where I'm at. Is I think they could have used $20 million somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's
Like maybe
it's
their
fairly
outfield.
low risk though. It's
Yeah, I don't hate it, and it sounds
Yeah,
like they're gonna if they're going to spend if they just wanted to extend Seth Lugo because they like him and that's going to be and they're still going to bring on other players, I have zero problem with it if it's going to stop anything. But I also don't know their budget, but it seems like they're willing to spend
I
with
think
an
he was going to
idea.
get paid that much regardless. I mean, he was Cy Young runner-up last year. He's
Yeah.
been good this year. I mean,
Well,
I think he was going to get paid that regardless.
I think they had a team option. Was it a team or a play or a mutual option on him? I
Let
thought
me
for this
look
year
at his
anyway. And they essentially
26 player option.
yeah. So they basically picked that up and added a year to it, which is fine. I mean, they probably had that penciled in. So I think it's overall it's fine. I was just kind of curious what they would.
and I do think something that matters is when a guy comes to you and says, "Hey, I like to stay
Yeah.
in our markets," that means something.
Right.
So, you know, take the win and keep the guy that wants to be around. But I do think I'm with Eric. If that's now 20 million they can't put towards their outfield or something, then
Yeah, that's
I'm a
fair.
little less enthused.
I guess I'm looking at it in isolation. It looks good, but
I mean, also to be fair, you can buy. I mean, $10 million for a corner outfielder will get you
Yeah,
a half decent, at least not a black hole, which is what they've been dealing with in the corner. So I just,
agreed.
at least those holes are fairly cheap to fill. All right, Minnesota. Boy, this is garbage baseball. Minnesota at Chicago. Lee, who you got?
I'm going to go Chicago on this one because I want Chicago to win this one. And I guess that's where my coin flip lands.
You monster. Dan.
1 second. All right. Stalling. I was curious of since the All-Star break, who do you think has more wins, the White Sox or the Twins?
Probably the White Sox. They
White
had a hot
Sox.
start coming out.
The White
The Twins
Sox.
haven't been terrible, but I think the White Sox have been.
Let's go with the White Sox.
Oh God, I need something to hope for. We're going Minnesota. I don't have many teams I feel like the Twins can be competitive with. Chicago is one of them, but I think it's going to be probably much. I don't think it'll be a sweep either way. I think it'll be Lee's definition of this game should have been an email. Imagine that with a series. I think that'll pretty
White,
much check the box. Or
White Sox are 11 and 13 since the All-Star break, which isn't good, but it's 2 games below 500. Twins
They're
are 10
also
and 15.
2-8 in their last 10.
So they were really cooking there for a second. Well, they were. They got
Yeah.
hot. We talked about it.
okay.
There was a period where they had the most wins in the division after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Until the Tigers stopped sucking.
Well, I remember that
And the
only
Guardians.
because we were poking fun at you in the Discord. Like, oh, the White Sox are going to overtake the Tigers. Like, look how much better this team is. And it didn't hold. All right, so, well, we have somehow managed to talk for 2 hours. Only 45 minutes of it was me rambling about the Twins and ownership and all of the, baseball related stuff that we certainly wanted to talk about. Any last thoughts before we check out here?
Nope.
No. Good.
All
Go
right.
Guards.
All right. Well, with that, I think we'll see you guys here probably sometime next week. Bye.